Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Aliens and UFOs video. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll do another entry here based on your past suggestions. I'll probably do about another maybe two more or so and then wrap up this go around and then start working on some other stuff. I also have an idea for a new series of sorts, just a really kooky series where it's not going to be unlike anything I've talked before. Instead, it's just going to be random stuff that'll be fascinating to discuss. So I'm going to see how that works out. So I'll introduce it hopefully sometime soon if I think it's something that's good enough. So this suggestion though came about a couple of months back, and I picked this one because it actually ironically matches very closely to one that I talked about a couple of weeks ago. If you recall, I talked about one called the Octo-Squatch, which had to do a cryptids and monsters type being of sorts. And this particular suggestion, though, eerily matches it, except in this case, it has to do with a UFO encounter. So also mimicking that, and then also the alien Bigfoot, the one that I talked about just a couple of weeks ago. It's that strange mixing of aliens and UFOs and the cryptids and monster side. So I love seeing such things come together again. So whatever this thing was, whatever occurred, it happened back in 1968. And it has to do with the strange alien encounter known as the alien octopoids, which you're looking at a picture of here. By the way, I'll include the link again for the Octo-Squatch. So if you wanted to see two similar items back to back, that would be a good way to see the other one and compare it against this one. So what was the alien octopoids? Well, again, it was an encounter that happened in 1968, and it happened in Spain at a location called Tivissa, Spain, and specifically it was August 16th, 1968. Much like some of the other videos I've talked about, this is just a one-off deal. It just happened one time only, hasn't occurred anywhere else, but it is truly a very unique encounter. So here's what occurred. It has to do with a farmer, a guy by the name of John Matteau. It seems like, based on what I was reading, here was another instance of a guy just minding his own business, going through his usual routine every single day. He was a farmer in this case. He always woke up at about 6 a.m. and he had a bunch of chores that he always did. So no doubt this was just like any other day within his life. But under this circumstance, he noticed once he was outside of his property, I guess doing those chores, that there was something involving like a light of some sort. This specifically when he was trying to feed his cattle. The way he thought that this light was, considering where he lived, and it seemed to be very, very remote, that it was more like the light of a reflection from a car. So him thinking that is just natural, because the last thing you would normally think is that, oh, it's a UFO. Especially if you're dealing with such a remote location such as this. If anything, the more natural thought is exactly what I was thinking, that it was something along a car, and that maybe, just maybe, they may even be stuck. And so, doing the Good Samaritan type act, he decided he wanted to go and try to find where this light came from, because if truly it was a car stuck out there in the middle of nowhere, then he wanted to make sure that whoever it was alright and that they could help with their situation. So he told his wife about what he saw and that how long it was going to be. He judged it about half a mile away or so. His wife, of course, said, alright, no problem. And so he went off there with his dog towards that light, towards that specific illuminated object. But it was coming closer to it that he realized it was nothing, of course, like an actual automobile. Instead, he saw something very, very strange. The way he described it was, think of it like an oblong type circle and then cut in half, specifically in the middle, horizontally, not vertically but horizontally. The way he described it was, imagine like the top half of a watermelon. That's what he saw. It was something that was very metallic, something that again was emanating some kind of light. Also, it was 4 feet above the ground. So clearly once he saw this, he knew that he was dealing with something else completely different. This was absolutely unlike anything that he had ever seen. Now, the next thing that occurred, though, took things to a whole other level, because all of a sudden he saw some things, two of them specifically, scurrying very, very quickly. They were pretty far away from the UFO, but they were scurrying as fast as possible to it. The way he described it was they were about 330 feet away from the UFO. There were these things 3 feet in height. And the way they look like to him is they look like the closest version of an octopus or something mimicking an octopus. And it was just a blur. Like these things were moving very, very fast. Their legs, whatever they were, however many they were just moving so quickly. You can just imagine in that I guess visual in your mind. Imagine these things just moving about and then creating that dust behind them as they're scurrying towards the UFO. But the way he described it was they were absolutely, truly disgusting. That's his term for them. And again, he had no real idea like how many legs they had just because of the blurriness of it, but he estimated about 4 or 5 legs each. And that also that they had, just like what you're seeing here, that they look to be, let's say, a little like 3 feet tall, but nothing in terms of like humanoid type features other than maybe like eyes and a mouth, but that's about it. Just basically the head and then no body and then straight to the legs. So whatever these things were, there they were. They just simply went straight into the UFO, and then that was it. No other grandstanding, no other encounters. Like let's say my last video where the particular alien went straight towards the observant. No, in this case they went right into the UFO and then it just shot off plain into the sky. So whether he caught them at a bad time, like maybe they were surprised that they were encountering someone, and then they decided to, instead of fight or flight, they decided to just get the hell out of there, and then that was it. Or whether they were actually just getting back into the UFO naturally, and it was just by pure coincidence that he showed up. That is completely up to debate, but in either case, they left. Now, there was physical evidence that occurred on the ground after they're leaving. Apparently there was these large circular burnt areas where the UFO was hovering. You're looking in fact at some of those patches here, and then also another seems it's a little bit more looser, but another way that there was more physical evidence had to do with the fact that that farmer and his brother, so he had brought along his brother later on to show him what was happening. They noticed that their watches had stopped as well, because whatever was there seemed to have been creating a very, very strong electromagnetic field even long after it was gone. So, but that was it. That was the only encounter that this farmer had with these creatures. No other known instance about them essentially making another visit in and around that area. There was, I guess, a brief period, August 27th, 1968, where the local paper there called the Barcelona Tele-Express decided to publish the account. It seemed like the brother of the farmer was the one that was providing this information, but it looks like things took off a little bit more than they thought it would, because all of a sudden a whole bunch of people started showing up in that area, other reporters, UFO fans, and then I guess more professional ufologists also showed up as well. There was even a division of some sort called the CIS, the Center for Interplanetary Studies, which took things very seriously. They started demanding, I guess, letters and very specific information from the brother, and that's when he clammed up. Like, he was just tired of the attention, and especially, I guess, the stern response that some of the UFO people were giving upon them. So they just provided no more information. But that's it. That's everything we have when it comes to this particular encounter, the alien octopoids. One time there in Spain, there's even some that believe that it could have been a hoax, like if there was something in terms of a true encounter, then things were getting a little fishy, and that maybe this was brought up. But Again, that's just something else that everyone else will have to decide on their own. It seems like this farmer, though, was a reputable type of person. Nobody really seemed from what I was reading, nobody seemed to mention anything about, let's say, the farmer just making things up or trying to seek attention of some sort. But otherwise, that is everything we have. So if anyone has any more information about the situation here, another kooky type alien encounter with those strange looking aliens. These are the kinds that I imagine the stop motion aliens from those cheesy movies, how they look like. So if anyone has any more information about this, that would be really, really good to hear too. So, alright, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care.